So, it started out with AJ Jakubec a few hours ago, so I apologize, this is kind of old news if you're going in the scheme of timelines into when things are said and when I'm repeating them, but he tweeted out, "I'm hearing the Ottawa Senators have fired Pierre McGuire." This was learned by TSN's Stephen Lloyd. And this tweet went kind of viral because for a lot of people that had been the following of this entire story ever since it started a year ago, Pierre McGuire was always really one of the more interesting NHL analysts on TV that inserted himself back into the National Hockey League in an executive role. He was, for all intents and purposes, supposed to be the guy, and this is an article from August 25th of 2021 talking about how the new, Senior Vice President of Player Development was optimistic about the organization's direction. You can see some of the quotes here talking about how he feels like the Senators can improve and what they're going to do to improve and how he's been given a primary role into helping that out. But, Senior Vice President of Player Development is a pretty significant role, and it says to me that he's going to be the guy in charge of talking to players, in terms of developing players, in terms of signing players, potentially luring guys to come over to Ottawa. It's a pretty significant piece of work that Pierre McGuire was given onto his plate when he was hired by the Ottawa Senators last year. But it was confirmed elsewhere by Bruce Garriock that Pierre McGuire has indeed been fired by the Sens. He had 2 years left on his deal with the club. When we talk about Pierre McGuire, we learn about what exactly it was that he had been a part of. Here's one of the big things that stands out to me, that he was the man behind Travis Hamonic becoming an Ottawa Senator. He wanted Hamonic re-signed beyond next season, and he sees him as the perfect mentor for Tyler Kleven. Now, I don't know if we talked about this earlier on in the season, but Travis Hamonic was traded to Ottawa, and Travis Hamonic, in my opinion, was not really the best player out there, so the fact that the Sens gave up a third in the entire trade, it makes things very head-scratchingly weird when you acknowledge all of those factors. But the new TSN article talks about how the Senators have fired Pierre McGuire after less than a year in a front office role. Let's go out here and read what it is they have to say. It's a short article, so I think it's pretty okay to do that. Pierre McGuire's time with the Senators appears to be over after just one season, unfortunately. The Sens parted ways with McGuire on Monday, less than a year after he joined the franchise's front office as Senior Vice President of Player Development. A longtime NBC and TSN broadcaster, McGuire previously worked for the Senators as an assistant coach during the 95-96 season. He also was an assistant coach during the Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup winning season in 91-92, and he spent 3 years with the Hartford Whalers, serving as head coach for 67 games during the 93-94 year. He was hired by the Sens in the vice president role on July 12 of last year. The Sens finished the 2021 season with a 33-42-7 record, missing the playoffs for the fifth straight year. So, I saw a lot of people memeing about this. Oh my goodness, it's so bad that now we're going to have to watch Pierre McGuire on TV again because, as we kind of have come to see over the past decade and a bit, Pierre McGuire was never really the most... Oh boy, how do I say this without being rude? He wasn't really the most not knowledgeable, that's not the wrong word to use. He didn't really have the proper timing, nor the proper syntax when broadcasting on air. He would interrupt at weird times, he would say weird things, and the flow of the broadcast wouldn't really be the best. I think it's best exemplified by the "Can you believe it? I can" moment that has been so viral on hockey forums and hockey discussion pages for the past decade and a half. Pierre McGuire wasn't really the best at that, but he definitely was a character that had a lot of people coming in and seeing what he would do, because he certainly was peculiar in that respect. So, seeing him get the front office role a year ago definitely was pretty interesting for a lot of people, because a lot of people did know that Pierre McGuire did have his biases when it comes to who's good, what types of players excel in which areas and everything. So, seeing him go over to Ottawa was a pretty interesting treat for us. But it's unfortunate to see a guy lose his job after just one season. We can only hope but speculate as to what actually happened, as to why he got fired with 2 years left on his deal, and only with 1 year actually being used up. But either way, Pierre McGuire has been fired by the Sens. We'll likely see him going over to TSN or NBC or wherever afterwards, or maybe he goes and finds himself another NHL job. Who really knows? I'm honestly not really too sure that's possible, but I don't know, nepotism is a pretty big thing in the NHL nowadays, so we'll see if he actually does find himself a new home. But either way, sucks to see a guy lose his job. It just is a very interesting one at that, because we are very familiar with this person from his on-air personality work, and we're very familiar with what it is that the Senators have been doing the past few years as well. Who knows if Eugene Melnick's passing, RIP by the way, has a part of this. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Trolls 99. Pierre McGuire has indeed been fired by the Ottawa Senators. And bye.